This is by far the weirdest thing I've been asked to do. Hello, I'm Alex Honnold. I'm a rock climber, and I will be painting a Yosemite Valley scene while I answer questions, or perhaps just a big smiley face. I mean, typically I tell any beginner just to go to the gym, have a good time, and try it. Just enjoy climbing and do the thing. Work on the footwork and practice technique. Yeah, the thing about going climbing is that there's no particular way to do it. You just go and try it out, have a good time. On my successful free solo of El Cap, I felt good and confident and comfortable the whole way. Though, I'd had a previous failed attempt where I obviously felt uncomfortable. But by the time I actually did it, it felt great. In that particular situation, I actually climbed another 500 feet up to a big ledge system, and then there's 1,000 feet of rope from the ground up to those ledges. Climbers always use as a way to commute up and down the wall. So in that particular case, I kind of cheated my way up a couple hundred more feet and then climbed a bit more and then got to the ropes and then rappelled down. But depending where you are on the wall, there's always kind of a different strategy in how you would potentially descend. I need a tree trunk. This is gonna be exciting. Climbing is very serious and nobody jokes. Climbing is life and death. Like nobody's having a good time when they climb. It's all much too serious. I need some green. Hopefully people find it motivating in whatever way is good for them. Meeting with audiences, everybody sort of chooses their own little thing from it. I met a woman who just signed up for a marathon after watching it. I was like, that's pretty cool. I don't think I want people to take anything from the movie. I just hope that they get something from it. I need more forest. In normal life, I typically wake up in the van in some climbing area, eat some breakfast, go out and climb for the day, and then come back, eat some dinner, and go to bed, and then repeat. It's a pretty lovely lifestyle. I'm making a rather impressionistic version of the valley. Certainly on easy free soloing, I'm thinking about all kinds of things. I can think about the weather, appreciate the position, enjoy the actual moves themselves, think about partners I've been up there with, but then for harder climbing, I have to fully focus on what I'm actually doing. Sort of like painting. For cruxy painting, you have to really pay attention. This is the Sentinel. Actually, I climbed that for 60 minutes once upon a time. It's one of my favorite features in Yosemite. I don't really think, no, honestly, I don't really have any hidden talents, I don't think. I've put a lot of energy into rock climbing and not that much energy into really any other particular skills. Oh, well, painting is going to become my new hobby, I think. I was going to turn this all sort of blue. It's going to be nice. If I wasn't a professional climber, I'd probably maybe be an engineer of some kind. Maybe. I was studying that in school for a little bit. I have never seriously injured a finger while climbing. Not really. Or I've only pulled tendons, which is the most common kind of climbing injury. So in the film, I break my back, though I think in retrospect I didn't actually break my back. I think I actually just sprained a ligament in my hip, and at the time there's an X-ray, I have some compression fractures in my back, but I think it might be from an injury when I was much younger actually. I got really, really poor medical care after that accident. It was like this really pretty scrappy 24-hour emergency thing. And the doctor never even looked at my body. They just rolled me in, took an X-ray, rolled me out, and they never even physically looked at the injury or anything. It was kind of a weird experience. And then the ankle injury basically is just healed over time the way you would expect. I've been vegetarian for maybe 5 or 6 years because of the environmental impact, because I felt like it was one of the few things that I could do personally to reduce my impact on the world. And then once I went vegetarian, I started caring slightly more about the ethics of it too. Because once I stopped eating meat, it's a lot easier to care about not killing other creatures. In general, trying to do no harm seems like a sound principle. I think that diet is probably the easiest thing that most individuals can do to lower their impact on the world. Just because it really can have almost no impact on your life. You lead the exact same lifestyle, you still take the same pleasure out of life. It's like basically everything remains the same, but you just have a tiny fraction of the impact on the earth around you. Actually, the biggest thing that most people can do, well, the obvious one is vote for people that actually care about the environment. But even more so actually is changing your bank. Pretty much every big bank though is pumping tons of money into politics on both sides of the aisle, supporting all kinds of things that you personally would never support, no matter where you stand politically. So putting your money somewhere local and not-for-profit is probably maybe the biggest impact you can have. I know people don't think about it, but it's like all your money is living somewhere and somebody's using it. So I started the Honnold Foundation maybe 5-6 years ago in an effort to do something positive in the world. I basically felt like, I had more than I needed. I was living out of my van, I had very little overhead, and I was suddenly making more than I needed, and I felt like I should do something useful. And so that meant donating money to environmental nonprofits. And then we sort of gravitated towards solar projects just because I personally was interested in environmental projects that also improve standard of living, like things that help the environment but also help people in need, both domestically and abroad. And honestly, that's been one of the highlights of the film tour for me, is that the foundation has sort of tripled in size and scope, I think, just in the last 6 months. I've certainly run into tons of creatures that were a surprise. I mean, I've pulled holds off the wall and found scorpions underneath. I remember really distinctly because I was horrified both times, like, ah, because you're hanging on and there's suddenly a scorpion right in front of you and you're slightly concerned. I mean, I don't really call myself a minimalist. I think that I just use what I need, and I don't need that much because the things that I enjoy doing don't require that much. I don't know. I think I just think about whether or not I need something before I acquire it. I don't know if that makes me a minimalist, but I think that just makes me thoughtful. Yeah, I can definitely tell you that I will not be competing in the 2020 Olympics. And I've spent the last 10 years of my life focusing on climbing 3,000-foot walls in wild places like Yosemite, and people that are going to win the Olympics have been training inside a gym, their entire lives. It's like different sports, basically. I kind of want like some kind of nice ground, and maybe I'll try gray again. Yeah. Actually, I mean, I learned how to skydive thinking that I was going to get into base jumping because all my friends had started base jumping in Yosemite, and it seemed like such an efficient way to fly down off the tops of walls. And then basically when I learned how to skydive, I realized how dangerous base jumping was, and then decided it wasn't for me. There's a big heart-shaped depression on the left side of El Cap, so I added the heart. If somebody tells me that free soloing is crazy, I don't really say, I don't care. People can think whatever they want, but I respectfully disagree. And the thing about free soloing is that it's fundamentally a fairly slow and peaceful activity. Like, it doesn't have to be extreme, it doesn't have to be crazy. I mean, if you're free soloing at a low level, it's more analogous to hiking or scrambling in the mountains, and everybody likes to go for a walk in the woods. Difficult free soloing is obviously not quite the same as going for a hike in the woods. It can still be done well and done safely. I made a little forest, I made a couple little walls. Oh, I could have added the river through the middle, but I skipped that. So I'll go back to normal climbing. I'll hopefully be in Yosemite in May, climb some walls again. And then we'll just see, no big climbing plans yet. I mean, I guess I'd bring, a lighter of some kind, or matches, or flint or something, a knife, I don't know, a tarp. Otherwise, I'd bring my book, and I'd bring my headphones, I'd bring, like a MP3 player of some kind, but I don't think that would keep me alive very long. What do we think? Does this look like Yosemite to you?
Yeah, I can definitely see it. It's actually really good.
Yeah, it's really good. Honestly, my coolest nature experience, I mean, it's a bit of a random story, but I on-site soloed this mountain in Zion once, this 1,000-foot climb. So basically I did it by myself, first try without a rope, so I'd never been up there, didn't really know what was going on. Made it to the top of the wall, and it had snowed a lot in Zion, so there was snow everywhere. And normally you would rappel back down the 1,000 feet of the route. I didn't have a rope, obviously, because I was free soloing. And so instead I decided to scramble another 2,000 feet up to the rim of the actual canyon, where I'd pick up a trail and then hike down a normal tourist trail. And it all was starting to feel pretty extreme because I'd never been there, I didn't know what I was doing, and I couldn't really tell where I was going because it was snowy. And then I found some bighorn tracks, basically followed these bighorn tracks all the way up to the rim. So I was sort of like, oh, if a freaking goat managed to walk, or a sheep, I guess, managed to meander way up to the rim, surely whatever the goat went up, I can go up. Followed it for like 2,000 feet, made it to the rim, it all worked out nicely. Never actually saw the animal, but I did follow the tracks for a very long way. I felt pretty raw to begin with. Only one more step for me to feel like I had some spiritual connection with the actual sheep, that it had saved me, or that it, my ancestor had come back in the form of a goat to guide me to safety, whatever. It's hard to know, but I was like, oh, it's pretty cool.
How's it looking?
Yeah, I filled it. I think it's Dunsky. This is by far the weirdest thing I've been asked to do. This is my art. Shabam! This is the first time I've created art since I was a child. Is that pretty good? This was my attempt at painting Yosemite Valley. And if you want to see a better version of Yosemite Valley, see it in free solo. It's 10,000 times better than this painting. Maybe, actually probably more than that. Maybe 10 million times better than this painting. Can you recognize the sentinel?
Yep, sentinel.
Okay, good.
Yep,
Good.
and
See,
the
all three
forest.
formations is perfect, yeah. Yeah, they're really,
That's actually not that bad.
there are really 5
That's
elements
actually
to this piece, I think.
Did you switch to your fingers?
No. This is
Okay.
technical brushwork.
Oh,
Can you tell?
wow. I'm
Yeah.
impressed.